Welcome back to Pathfinder Kingmaker, where I've just spoken to Bokken the Alchemist after defeating some spiders in a cave for him and collecting some berries. If you remember the last session, once we'd returned the berries to Bokken, we could ask him what he wanted them for, and like I said at the time then, there was a surprising depth to that seemingly trivial side quest. It turned out, rather than just needing them for a potion so we could make some potions and sell some potions, instead Bokken had some problem related to getting old that meant that nothing tasted nice to him anymore, and he was slowly starving because he couldn't bring himself to eat, and these berries were the only things that would spice up or flavour food for him in a way that made it palatable. And although it's a minor thing maybe in the grand scheme of things, bringing him some of those berries has got him eating again and sort of not starving to death. So I was just a little surprised last time that what looked like a really insignificant side quest actually had a sort of depth to it that was unexpected. So we've talked to him, we've closed out that quest.
We should move.
The next thing on our agenda is to heal up from the poison damage that those spiders in the cave inflicted on us. To do that, we're going to head into the inn, and before we do that, we're going to sell, using the dialogue with Oleg, the loot that we came back with. So, a bit of housekeeping to start off this session. We'll quickly check what our characters are wearing and using. So we'd taken Lindsay's chain shirt off in favour of the leather armour, which gave her a lower, in fact no, armour check penalty. Since we've been able to keep her out of combat for the most part, I think we'll stick with the leather in her case, which means that we can sell off the chain shirts. Everyone has a decent ranged weapon, except for Harem, our dwarf, so we better just have a quick look. Let's see if he can use the short bow. I'm not sure that he can. I think that as a cleric he can't. So we still won't have a ranged weapon for Harem, but that's alright. The rest of this stuff looks to be minor trinkets and ingredients for cooking, so I'm going to hang on to the cooking ingredients in the hope of finding a few new recipes in addition to our hearty meal recipe. It looked like, although the DC was quite high, the benefits of the meal were quite good. So you get a +1 bonus to all saves all day, which is a decent effect. So if we find other recipes that have, similarly decent effects, it'd be a shame to not have the ingredients to make those recipes, or to try to at least. So I'm just going to hang on to all of this stuff in the hope that we can eventually use it. That was the scorched fragment of some destroyed artifact that we found in the ancient tomb where we confronted Tartuccio. Hanging on to that seems like a good idea. We can hopefully find the other bits and reassemble it, and who knows what it might do long down the line from now, but something to look forward to. This was another thing. No, that's not the thing. This was another thing we found in that tomb that we're going to hang on to here, even though it's worth a fair whack of gold by the look of it. The flavour text here suggests that we might get even more for it if we sell it to an antiquities collector rather than to an innkeeper in the middle of nowhere. So we'll be sure not to accidentally hock that when we're selling off our stuff. Alright, but having just had a quick look there, I think we can now start shuffling stuff across. So here's why I'm not picking up every bit of tat. Moving your weapons and your armour across because they don't stack like potions do, for instance, is kind of tedious. You have to click everything individually, or at least if there's a better way, I haven't found it yet. And it's just not worth it for those lower value weapons and armour. So we have a longsword here because we swapped out Joseph's longsword for the magic one that we found also in that tomb with Tartuccio. So we'll sell off his old one. Short bow that we don't want, a couple of chain shirts that we don't want. Interesting little trinket bits and pieces that are worth a little bit of money that certainly don't encumber us to any extent, so it's no problem to pick up all of those. And it looks like that's everything. I haven't sold this book yet because I keep meaning to see if there's anything we can do with it, like learn a recipe out of it. It doesn't seem like there is. I'm hoping that if we ever get enough ingredients, there might be some way to try and combine them into the recipes here, but I'm just going to hang on to it for now. It's not worth enough to be fussed about, and I'd be really annoyed at myself if I sold it off when it was going to be useful later, so let's just hang on to the book. Also hanging on to the long spear here, because like I was talking about at the end of the last session, I'm interested to see whether the reach mechanic has been implemented in the computer version of the Pathfinder rule set. So in the pen and paper version of that rule set, some weapons can be used to attack enemies from further away than others. So your basic longsword, you need to be right up close. Something like a long spear, for instance, at least in the pen and paper rules, you can use from further back. So you could be sort of behind another melee character attacking past them with a much longer weapon like this, and so be safe from that enemy's attacks yourself, while still being able to melee them. And reach isn't noted down here as a property of the weapons, which makes me wonder if it's implemented at all, but I'm going to hang on to it, and hopefully we can equip it and just sort of play around in a combat and see if that feature's actually in the game, even though it's not noted as a quality of the weapon. So that's why we're hanging on to a long spear. Alright, everything else, we just want our gold. So there we go. We wouldn't mind buying a ranged weapon for Harem. Just as general policy, I think it's a good idea to have a ranged weapon for every character. We don't really want to cough up 36 gold for a light crossbow. I thought I saw last time we scrolled through here slings. So, oh, there's a masterwork sling. I certainly don't want to pay 400 gold for a sling. And that appeared to be it. Let's see if we can just look at weapons. Now let's go down to S and see if we can find a plain sling. No. Alright, so maybe our only option here is to buy him a crossbow, which is a bit of a shame. It's a bit more than I wanted to spend, being a bit of a tightwad, but sure, let's grab a light crossbow for Harem, and then at least he's got a ranged weapon. We could buy him a heavy shield. If we look in armour and shields, then it doesn't look like he sells heavy shields anyway. Not to worry, it would have been a minor improvement at best. Aside from that though, there's not really anything we want to buy at this point, so we'll just keep racking up the gold and hope that we can spend it on something nice later. Alright, so we've sold off our bits and pieces. We've dropped our party encumbrance, I think that is, down to light, which is good. Let's now head inside to rest. We'll talk to Oleg's wife. Oh, no, we won't. I keep forgetting, you don't have to talk to the innkeeper's wife, Svetlana, here to rest. You just go upstairs. So there we go. Now, if we head down to this bed, that's our little rest thing. We just click on that, we can rest. Before we do that, I want to have a look at our characters though. So these little icons here indicate a condition, an active effect on the character. So Lindsay and Amiri are both still suffering from some strength damage due to those spiders poisoning them. What we need to do is rest until that's naturally healed, because we don't have spells that can restore it. And while we do now have some items that can restore it, because we got given a potion of lesser restoration as a reward for that quest from Bokken, while we do now have this potion, I'd rather hang on to that in case we need it in a more desperate situation than simply being back at the inn. So here we've got the chance to just rest and heal this naturally, so that's what we're going to do. Let's... Now let's see if we're recovered. So So Amiri has, it's good to see. Amiri's back to full strength. Lindsay, though, is still down 1 strength point, so let's just jump straight back into bed and rest that away. Hopefully this time she'll come back fully
I'll make my own
restored.
legend.
And indeed she has. So there we go. Good. Let's leave. We are on a timer, so if you look in the log here, then we've just rested for a day and a bit. We're on a timer for defeating the Stag Lord, so we can't be too kind of blasé about resting for days and days on end to restore things like strength damage. Be a good idea to see if we can move through this kind of bit of the game as efficiently as possible, so making sure that our spellcasting cleric uses the spells that he has to restore ability damage will be a good idea. We don't want to sort of burn more time than we need to. I don't know how tight the time frame is for the quest, just no idea at this point whether it's really sort of a pressing time limit or whether we can faff about a bit and still come in time. But yeah, let's not burn more days sprawling around the inn than we really have to. Alright, let's have a quick chat to Svetlana on the way out. We're trying now to find the Stag Lord, so let's ask her if she can tell us anything about him. He's not just some average bandit. If no one puts a stop to him, he'll turn the stolen lands into his personal kingdom, a kingdom of fear and oppression. So, we think a kingdom of fear and oppression would be a bad thing. We're going to go with the lawful good option here. Each one here is an alignment-based option. I think it's the first time we've been given a set of options. Oh, okay, no, sorry, I missed that bottom one, which is not aligned at all. So it's not like we're forced here to make an alignment-based response. But we are going to go with the lawful good response here and promise that once we've dealt with the Stag Lord, life around here will be better. She says, I can't thank you enough for the hope you've given me, but please be careful, the Stag Lord is extremely dangerous. Alright, so that's shifted our alignment more toward lawful good, or sort of cemented it at the lawful good point of the spectrum. That's good to see. There's not really... Oh, okay, so it turns out she wanted to ask us something. She says that she would like us to recover her wedding ring, which was stolen by the Stag Lord's thugs the first time they came demanding taxes, as they were calling it. So it's got sentimental value to her, and she would like it back. Alright. She's asked that if we happen to find it, we retrieve it, and she tells us who is likely to have it. So a dark-haired, dual-axe-wielding bandit. Female woman among the bandits is who we're looking for. Dangerous and cruel, but we'll have to deal with her if we want to recover Svetlana's ring. Okay, so we will tell her that we will help. Excellent, so now we've got another little quest, or another little thing to do. We're going to get a notification here, and that'll turn up. I think J is the hotkey for journal. Yeah, so that'll turn up in our errands section of our quest log. So, yeah, Svetlana's ring, there we go. Alongside kill the pig, find those moon radishes, which we were told might be somewhere near kobolds. We've already done this one, which was retrieve the fangberries from the spider cave, and that was the fiddling with statues, swords bit of the prologue tutorial, which wasn't thrilling, as I remember. Alright, we've got a companion quest, so this is the first time I've clicked through here. I'm going to have a bit of a look. Yeah, so remember when we were talking to Oleg and he was telling us about, I think it was Oleg telling us about Tusk Gutter, one of our party members, Amiri, chimed in when it came time for us to decide whether to agree to help take out the pig or not. And Amiri was all gung-ho about hunting down Tusk Gutter. And we agreed to do it, and she was happy to hear us agree. So here it turns out that this errand actually relates to Amiri. So, yeah, interesting. I'm not sure exactly how this matters. I was speculating earlier that if you refused the quest, then she'd be disappointed in you, and maybe if you disappoint your companions in that kind of way often enough, they leave. But it's interesting to see that it's specifically noted here as an Amiri-related quest, companion quest. Okay, cool. We should keep an eye out for other opportunities to start companion quests, because hopefully when we successfully complete them, that'll do something good for our relationship with the relevant party member, and that'd be interesting to see what kind of mechanic they've built in there. Alright, this is Tartuccio, the evil little gnome. So we've lost track of him. We tried to track him after leaving the tomb, and we failed, I think, a fairly easy knowledge or nature lore check, and lost the trail, which was disappointing, but that's the way the dice fall. Now it looks like all we can do is wait. So, if we just collapse all of those. This is the one we're on to now. I haven't checked it off. Maybe he'll turn up. Maybe someone can put us back on his trail. Good, alright. And this is our big quest. So here's our timer, counting down handily. And here's where we're up to. We want to head for Thorn Ford and the bandit camp. That looks like and this was the prologue, yep. So back here, here's our big quest. Here's where we're up to with it. So let's set off to Thorn Ford and the bandit camp and see if we can't make some progress and beat this timer. Alright. Good. Let's head out. Oh, before we go out... sorry. Before we go out, let's just have a quick word to whoever this is, who I've walked past several times without saying anything to. Anoriel 8 Eyes, an elf with a fall of tangled hair across her face. She says, "Hey, you're an adventurer, right? Seeking your fortune in the Stolen Lands? You aren't the only one of your kind here. Take my advice. Keep your eyes open and watch your back." It's good advice. Sometimes the ones who call themselves your friends are more dangerous than your enemies. We kind of learned that right at the start with Tartuccio. So, she's obviously a little inebriated. Alright, that's fine. We'll ask who she is. Anoriel 8 Eyes. Once upon a time I was famous throughout Absalom. So these little highlighted or different coloured words, if you mouse over, they'll pop up a little box that gives you some context, some more information. So Absalom is a long-established major city in Galarian, it turns out. Alright, so being famous throughout Absalom is pretty famous, I guess. She was famous as Anoriel 8 Eyes of the Reckless Six, which I guess was her adventuring party. Well, glory passes quickly. A miserable few decades later, and no one recognises you on the street anymore. What a shame. So here, I guess it's a nice little kind of indication of the difference in perception of passing time between humans, where a few decades isn't a miserable span of time at all. A few decades for a human is a significant chunk of a lifetime. But for an elf, which Anoriel is, a few decades is much less significant in the terms of their lifespan. So nice little way to sort of show rather than tell that elves and humans have a different attitude toward time. I like that. I mean, it's a small detail. It's certainly not a game-making or breaking thing to include it or not include it. But yeah, I like that. I think that's nice. Right, so we can ask her a whole bunch of things. We can ask her if she wants to join us. So let's do that. Let's see if we can get another party member. She says, "No, I've got enough things to do already, like finish this jug of wine and start on the next one. You better manage on your own." Alright. So, what else do we want to ask her? What's she doing here? Sitting here waiting for adventurers who are in need of help. Alright. We could use some help. It looks like... Oh, so this might be the way that you hire additional party members. So if we ask about this... Yeah, so this looks like the way that you basically buy more party members. So Lindsay and Harim and Amiri and the rest of them, they're NPCs that have joined us in the course of the story. It looks like if you just cough up enough gold, and that's a fair bit of gold, you can hire an adventurer from Honorial, which probably means go and make another character that you can then add to your party. I don't have any other option but to just think about that. I don't have 2,000 gold. But it's good to know that if we decide we need a particular kind of character or some particular skills or spells or something that we can't get from the game's provided story NPCs, we can just come here and kind of custom build something that'll, some character that'll do the job. Alright, now we know what she's doing here. That's good to know. This is a bunch of backstory and flavour text, I'm sure, if we click through here, but let's leave that for now and head out. Alright, we don't have to collect our party members one by one, we just head to the exit. So moving around the local area using this little mini-map I think is a neat little feature too. We can escape out of it with a hotkey. We can save before we head out into the big bad world. And
it is done.
Collect our party members and head for Thorn Ford. Alright, so there's Thorn Ford, we remember. To get there, if there's a location that's got that little question mark, you can't just click on it to go to it like we could if we wanted to go back to Baneberry Cave for some reason. We could just click to go here though, and that'll save us clicking and clicking and clicking on the arrow by the look of it. Or we could see if there's a quicker way across there. So let's head to here first. Alright, now let's head this way and see if we can cut off what looks to be a sort of circuitous journey. Let's see if we can make that journey a little quicker by going this way. That looks like it's going to join up with that there, and there's an option to go that way from there, so yeah, sure, let's do that. Oh, we found a blackberry meadow. Thorny bushes full of juicy berries still grow on the side of an old orchard. So I guess when we've got a kingdom, then that's where we'll get fruit and berries if we need them. Okay, cool. Alright, we're probably one click away from... No? There we go. Thorn Ford. Let's enter Thorn Ford. Teamwork feats. Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've sort of hovered over a teamwork feat or two while doing the level up earlier. I think part of the issue with them, although they can be powerful, like the little tip there said, is that you have to give the feat to each member of the team who you want to sort of synergize together. So suppose we had a shield, based teamwork feat, where if you're next to a character who also has that feat, you each get a better shield bonus than you would otherwise. Then you've got to spend a feat here and a feat here. Then you've got to make sure you set things up so that you're adjacent. It's just all a bit too circumstantial and a bit too apt to not work out often enough to make the investment of sort of two feats, one here and one there, worth it. So unless you have a sort of very specific trick that you're trying to pull off, teamwork feats I think might be a bit more trouble than they're worth. So I won't be investing in teamwork feats, I don't think, anytime soon. But yeah, it's nice that the game throws up those little tips for people who are new to the whole system. Alright, so here we are in Thorn Ford. Our little mini-map is, quite reasonably not filled in yet. We'll need to scout around a bit. So let's do that with Lindsay.
Their sight betrays them.
Let's save now that we're here first, though. Right, so I don't know how lighting affects stealth, or how cover affects stealth, if at all, in this version of the game. So here she is, kind of walking down the middle of the road in broad daylight. No idea if that applies some kind of penalty or not to her stealth check, but I guess we'll just scout and we'll see. Alright, so here she is, crossing what I guess is Thorn Ford itself. Now, let's not let her get too far ahead of everyone else. Let's pull the rest of our characters forward. And while they're catching up, Lindsay, who moves more slowly when she's sneaking, can continue to... Whoa! Oh, okay, that's kind of cool, but kind of annoying that the foliage gets in the way of our sight of the map here. I can imagine that if we end up in combat, then that's going to be quite annoying to have to deal with, but it's an interesting effect nonetheless. So here's a tiny spider just hanging out in the middle of the road. I wonder if that means there are bigger spiders somewhere nearby.
Can you make an epic pose? I need inspiration.
Whoa. So Lindsay has just triggered a trap. So despite having a fairly decent perception score, +7 to perception, she's nonetheless triggered this trap. We can't see a check here, so we don't know what the perception DC was that she missed. We might have just had a bad roll, it might have been a very well hidden trap, but whatever, she's triggered it, and it looks like it started combat. So yeah, interesting. Huh, interesting. It's a trap that summons a dog of some sort? Okay, that's alright, that's pretty weird, but let's have Lindsay use her mobility, which should let her move away from this enemy without provoking an attack of opportunity. Let's have the rest of our characters. I think I can I control click to select more than one? No. Just have to go back and grab them. There's probably a faster way to do that. Let's have them move down to here. Alright, so Lindsay's mobility check there succeeded, so it's not a difficult roll to make, a DC 11, and she's got a decent modifier, so hopefully she can keep on moving away from the summoned dog without provoking attacks of opportunity. In the meantime, let's have Amiri. Make sure she's using her sword. Let's have Amiri charge it. Hopefully that'll take its attention off of Lindsay. So you notice Amiri got here much faster than these two. That's because as a barbarian she has a better movement speed than normal. She's got a +10 bonus to her movement speed in feet per round. So she's like about a third faster than these guys. I believe they'd have a 30 feet per round movement speed. She's got a 40. So that's why she's got here first, just in case you're wondering. Alright, so she'll charge. We'll have these two join the fight eventually, and hopefully Lindsay can get away. Oh, it just made an attack of opportunity. I'm sort of annoyed here because mobility... No, okay, I'm not annoyed. We just rolled badly. That's fine. Mobility does let you move without incurring those attacks of opportunity if you make the check. We just failed the check. That's fine. Carry on. Alright, so Amiri's charged. She missed. She missed because she rolled quite badly. That's fine. Let's hope that the dog now focuses on her, and it does. Good, so we can swap Lindsay from just retreating carefully to now attacking. So let's have her, actually no, let's have her use Bardic Performance to give us all a little boost to combat. And it seems like Amiri could use it. She's rolling appallingly. Oh, and it looks like the dog is gone. We'll turn that off so we don't use it unnecessarily. Okay, so the summoned dog disappeared after not very long, without happily doing any damage.
Adventures call to them.
So I guess we press on. It seems like she's managed to trigger another trap, which looks to be another summoned dog. Alright. Well, let's attack it. No, we can't attack it yet. It's not quite fully here.
Tear them apart!
There we go. Alright, so Lindsay took a little hit there, but Amiri flattened the summoned dog without delay that time, so excellent.
What troubles you?
Now, we've set off 2 traps right here. It makes me wonder if there are more traps. There doesn't seem to be a way to actively search for traps. It looks like we're just reliant on kind of passive perception rolls or reactive perception rolls to find traps that are lurking here. So let's all press forward. The more of us in the area, the more likely one of us is to make that check, I guess. So let's hope that one of us spots any more traps that have been laid down.
It is done.
Alright. So that looks to be the area. We walked past some edible moss, some loot, which I completely failed to notice. Maybe we'll head back and we'll explore this bit here and see if we've missed something in amongst the trees back there. Let's have a look up here first of all.
To victory!
Ah, there we go. We've finally found some bandits. Alright. We're cheating a little here, looking in the combat log and seeing 2 initiative checks from 2 bandits. So although we can only kind of see one at the moment, there's another one somewhere. So let's have everyone stop. Let's have Lindsay start her Bardic Performance. Let's have our front row characters move to engage this bandit.
Do not falter!
Let's have Harem stay back here with Lindsay and just sort of wait and see how this plays out.
What's that?
Alright, we've noticed in the heat of battle, Amiri's made a perception check to notice something up there, so we'll keep that in mind for later. Let's have Harem. I forgot to equip his crossbow. Damn it. Oh well. Let's have him just hang back here with Amiri, with Lindsay, sorry, in case we get sort of snuck up on or someone else appears and threatens Lindsay. We'll have Harem there, who's a decently protected melee type who can take the heat off Lindsay if we need him to. Alright. Ah, so there's the other bandit. The other bandit was up on the observation platform here, and it looks like we won't be able to get to them with melee characters, so it's a good thing that we've all got a ranged weapon. Let's have Lindsay use a daze spell and see if we can just take this bandit out for now, that while we clean up the bandit down. So daze landed on that bandit, that's fantastic. It's a 0 level spell which we can just cast all day, so let's see if we can get Lindsay to daze lock this bandit. We'll cast it again the next round, hopefully they fail their will save then as well. They don't have a great will save, they've got a +1 to their roll, so yeah, they need a little better than average roll to succeed against this spell. It looks like that bandit is an elf, as shown by the +2 due to elven immunities, or a half-elf perhaps, who knows. Continue, there we go. So Amiri has just taken out that bandit. What we're going to do now is swap all of these characters to their ranged options. So that's Valerie, that's Amiri, and that's Josus, all now using their ranged weapons. And let's have them attack this bandit. Alright, so the bandit made the will save that time, sadly. Let's have Lindsay use her own bow to
Serves
plink
you
back.
right.
Since this bandit's not in melee combat with anyone, it's just up there on his own or her own. There's no penalty for shooting at them. Alright. So none of us are especially good archers. Possibly Amiri is our best archer with her, warrior base attack bonus and her 13 dex. Valerie would be just as good. So none of us are especially good archers, but it's nice that we've all got the option to use those ranged weapons. Otherwise we would have been stuck with, say, just our bard with a short bow and maybe our cleric with a crossbow plinking away. And that could have taken a while. They wouldn't have been very accurate, they wouldn't have done as much damage when they did hit as our warriors using composite longbows. So yeah, that just sort of demonstrates quite nicely, I think, the value of having even your primarily sort of melee combat characters equipped with decent ranged weapons once you have them, in case you hit a situation like this where there's an enemy who's either only accessible, only reachable by ranged weapons, or maybe only vulnerable to ranged weapons, who knows. You need options, is what I'm saying, so give yourself options. Now, we've won. Let's have a quick loot of those bandits that we've just defeated. So if we move our party, we can click the corpse. We don't really want to bother grabbing either of those things. What we do want to do, though, is have a look at this, which is a stash by the look of it. A bandit loot stash with a ring. Let's grab the ring. Oh, and Lindsay has automatically, if we click on that, does it tell us how she identified it? No. Okay, she somehow automatically identified that ring as a ring of protection +1. So, let's jump into our inventory screen, find that ring. So there we go, that's our ring of protection +1 from the bandit stash. We're still wearing Tartuccio's present, which was a +1 ring of protection as well. We got that in the prologue. Tartuccio gave it to us saying that he wanted us better protected so that we could better protect him. Really, he wanted to give us this ring that looked like the sort of thing a spy from Pitax would wear if they were particularly dense, I guess, and use that to kind of paint us in a bad light in front of the Lady Jamandi Aldori. We didn't unequip it. We didn't see any reason to throw away what looks like a perfectly good ring of protection. What I am going to do, though, I could leave that on, give this to a different character, because after all, 2 rings of protection +1 don't stack. Deflection bonuses from both of them don't stack. What I'll do instead is just take off Tartuccio's ring and replace it with that one. Not because mechanically there's any difference. They're both +1 rings of protection by the look of it mechanically. But I'm just a little suspicious about continuing to wear what we now know is an evil, treacherous little gnome's present. Who knows if it's just a ring of protection +1, or if we have this on when we eventually encounter him, whether there's something nasty that he might be able to spring on us, some surprise, in virtue of the fact that we're still kind of foolishly maybe wearing this ring that he gave us. Maybe I'm overthinking that, and maybe I'm wasting a perfectly good ring of protection +1 here, but I think it would be kind of cool if the game did build in something along those lines, rather than just having Tartuccio give you a magical ring and not then do anything with it down the line. But yeah, that's what we'll do. And having done that, let's continue to explore this area with all of our party.
No stopping now.
So it looks like up here there's nothing of interest. Yeah, so here having this foreground foliage stuff is like, you know, it's kind of cool. It's a really interesting sort of spin on the isometric role-playing game kind of view, but it does make it kind of difficult to see what we're doing. So on balance, I'm not sure I like it all that much. It doesn't matter when you're just moving around a map. Probably a lot more annoying if you're trying to fight or trying to resolve a combat encounter with that stuff.
March on.
Alright, let's quickly save before I forget, and then we'll push on with exploring this little area. Okay, so more trees. Oh, so hitting tab is really a sort of mixed blessing here, I think. So it's a lazy way of seeing what's in the environment. So we came upon this treehouse looking thing, and if I'd have just sort of paused, had a look, maybe moused over to see what we could find, I would have spotted this little canvas covered thing, little tent by the look of it. Instead I just hit tab, which highlighted it. So yeah, it's an ease of life type, quality of life type feature of the game, but it is a little immersion breaking, a little sort of, yeah, it's a trade-off. Okay, so here we have a pile of bandit stuff, and with a perception 18 skill check, a skill check that Harren has the best chance of making by the look of it with his +8 perception, we will be able to hopefully find something worthwhile. What I'm going to do, I am going to search it. I'm not going to search it right now though. I'm going to have Harren use his spell, his 0th level spell, Guidance, which remember we used to improve Amiri's Law Nature roll when she was trying to harvest those fangberries. So this will give him a small bonus, but you know, a bonus nonetheless, to his next skill check, or attack roll or saving throw, but it's going to be a skill check this time. So let's have him cast Guidance on himself, then let's have him search this. So now you'll notice he's got a +9 rather than a +8. Not a big bonus, but it's a bonus, and we should use it since we've got it. Let's try. So we failed that perception check. If we have a look, it doesn't show us our roll. So I wonder, no, so we can't search it again. We can have a look here. No, we can't even sort of hover here and see what our roll was like. Alright, well it was a sort of a 50-50 chance there. It's a little disappointing to fail the roll. Who knows what we might have found in there of use. And here I think is where the temptation to save scum really starts to build. You wonder, was it something of real significance that we've just missed? Was it something, you know, that really ultimately doesn't matter much? We don't know. It'd be nice to have passed that check, and the temptation is to reload and try again until we pass it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to press on. And if we look over here, we can see a bandit
No stopping now.
So let's make sure we've got our marching order right. We want to swap. We want to swap Harren and Lindsay. So this sort of keeps happening. Our marching order keeps getting kind of shuffled each time we leave Oleg's and re-add people to our party. So yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. It's slightly annoying that you can't just fix your party order, but that's alright. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. We remember hearing about a dark-haired bandit woman with multiple axes. When we talked to Svetlana, that was the description we got of the bandit that had her wedding ring that she's asked us to recover for her. So it seems like we've found that bandit. Was this the bandit woman in the very first encounter at Oleg's trading post as well, maybe? remember there was a leader for the bandits who was shaking Oleg down, who turned invisible and ran away, it seemed, at the start of that combat. I think that was the same name. So yeah, here we've encountered what looks to be the leader of the bandits, at least in this little area of the Stolen Lands. So she says, "Well, look who's here." And there, if we hover over that, for some reason, it tells us that she is indeed the bandit we met in the first place, and the bandit who is in charge of tax collection for the Stag Lord around here. So we have options here. We're not just going to charge. We might use the alignment-based option here to try and convince her to leave the Stag Lord service, join with us, and yeah, let's see if we can do that. So there, it seems like we have succeeded, and succeeded maybe quite usefully. She's not going to attack. She's not going to throw herself at our feet, though, so it doesn't look like she's going to join us. She is going to ask us whether we've been listening to Svetlana. Okay, interesting. So we can now pick an option, all of which are alignment based. We're not going to pick the neutral or the neutral evil ones, obviously. It is interesting, though, that they get neutral evil kind of right here. Neutral evil is kind of selfish without real kind of regard for law or chaos. It's kind of just self-serving, pragmatic selfishness. And here, if we were to pick that option, we'd be saying, look, we don't really care about you, or anything other than ourselves, really. It's just killing you doesn't do us any good. So I like that characterization of neutral evil. That's nice. What we are going to pick, though, is one or two. One just says we don't want to kill anyone we don't have to kill. Two, which is pegged as chaotic good, I'm not sure why they would peg this one as chaotic good, is Svetlana asked me to show you mercy. I don't know why. Now, we're going to pick this one because that's the flat-out truth. I'm not sure why it's pegged as chaotic good, though. And we don't want to pick too many chaotic actions because we don't want to shift away from our lawful good requirement as a paladin. So yeah, that was the action, that was the response that made the most sense, I think. Excuse me. But we don't want to do too many chaotic things for fear of falling as a paladin. Okay. Alright, so we've convinced her to hand back Svetlana's wedding ring, it seems. She says, alright, here's my piece. The Stag Lord's been spending more time keeping an eye on the bottom of his glass than on what's going on around him. If he won't answer an insult from some Restov crook like Jamandi, then you're right, we chose the wrong leader. So, go ahead, do whatever you're going to do. I won't stop you, but I won't help you either. And here, give this to Svetlana. Right, so we've recovered Svetlana's ring without bloodshed. We've convinced Kressle to stop supporting the Stag Lord, even if we haven't quite convinced her to join us. So I think that's quite a good result here. Okay. Wonderful. So it looks like that was the... what's going on there? We have some weird artifacting foliage here. I guess it's the flame effect messing up the foliage effect. That's the first weird little visual thing that I've noticed in the game. It's the closest thing to a bug that I've noticed in the game yet, and that's a fantastic thing to be able to say, given the state of the game at release. So let's move our characters forward. Let's save, having successfully navigated that encounter with Kressle. It looks like we can talk to this fellow, or we can search the camp. Let's talk to him first. Alright, Jod Kavkin, a dark-haired man of about 45, though he looks older. is a prisoner, judging from the way he's tied up. And he's finally noticed us, short-sighted as he is. What are we going to hear? He says, "Praise Erastil being a god of some description. Someone finally chased off those scoundrels. Thank you, stranger. My name is Jod Kavkin. I'm a priest of Erastil from Galt. Galt being a country known for its poets, artists, and philosophers. Alright. Those bandits attacked me as I was crossing the river, said they wanted to take me to their leader, make me heal their wounds. Not a chance. The strength granted me by Erastil is meant to help honest people, not robbers." Yeah, interesting. Okay. So, let's release him. There we go. "Oh, these times, to be as surprised to meet an honest man as to see a manticore at a vegetable stall. Thank you for your help. I've exhausted my supply of prayers, but I'll gladly repay you in future once I've restored my strength. Come to me if you ever need to be healed or blessed." Alright, good. So now it seems like we've got another ally in the Stolen Lands. We probably can't have too many of those. And if we ever get, say, bitten by spiders and lose points of our strength scores, we can come to him, and I'm hoping he'll be high enough level to cast useful restorative spells that will help us out. Alright, good. He says he's afraid an old fool like him won't be able to handle the mission given to him by his god. He's supposed to search for a temple, but the bandits make that difficult for him. He's going to head to Oleg's, so that's where we'll find him in future, I guess. And he asks that if we happen to stumble across the Temple of the Elk, that we tell him. He'll be grateful. Alright, so we'll probably end up with another little notification here, yep, about a quest or an errand added to our log. Okay, interesting. Having talked to Jod, let's now have a quick look around the camp. So, a recipe, excellent, and some orders for Kressle. Let's read those. Kressle, a task. As soon as you're done with the taxes, find an old hut in the woods upstream of the Thorn River and burn it to the ground. This is the Stag Lord's wish. He literally said, burn, burn. It was originally going to be Dovin, but he grew upset when he learned nobody lived in the hut. Dovin sounds like a gem. Said burning houses with no one in them was boring. So I said I'd send someone more reliable. It's a strange task, but try to finish it quickly. And no asking, what the? Or why bother with this trifle instead of preparing for war with Restov? We'll get to that. Signed, A. Alright, so we found who it is that gives Kressle her orders. It's A. We've also learned about Dovin, a pyromaniac homicidal type. And yeah, let's take those. Let's take the sweet pancakes recipe. We can see who's most equipped to make pancakes next time we rest. And let's take this book as well, which I won't read through right now, but it's something we can eventually look at. Alright, there was another box lurking around here. So yeah, like I say, this foreground foliage stuff is cool, but you know, if we were just hanging out here, it would be impossible to spot that over there. We'd have to either accidentally mouse over it, drag the screen around until it was visible through the foliage, or just tab to highlight it. Here we have Miri running forward to check us.
Applause, please.
So she was running forward, although we had our whole party selected, because it turned out that the chest was locked, and so the game automatically selected our character with the best trickery skill, indeed the only character trained in that skill, who succeeded in picking the lock, and has found us some scrolls, some meat, and some gold and trinkets. So let's take all of those. Awesome. Alright, let's now head up this way. We can inspect this. A watchtower. The bandits planned to seriously secure the area. Indeed they did. I wonder, had our little chat with Kressle not gone as smoothly as it did, and we'd ended up fighting, whether we might have had bandits pop out up here and start shooting us with arrows. That would have made for quite a challenging encounter with, you know, a couple at least of melee enemies down here, Kressle herself, who would have been no doubt fairly tough, and maybe one or two archers up here. That would have made for quite a tricky encounter, I think. So I'm kind of glad that we resolved that with dialogue rather than with fighting. It seems like we got a good result and we didn't have to face a really dangerous fight, so good stuff. So another quick look at our mini-map. Let's push on up here just to thoroughly explore this area. It is done. So a little bit of action here, like you see the animals, with the moving tree effects, some pretty moss on rocks. Right, so if we looked on that map again, we'd see little notations about stuff. So there's a loot bag that we managed not to spot with, flour and eggs. Those sound like pancake ingredients. Also some gold and a useful potion, so we'll grab that. We'll head over this way to the edible moss bush. Now this might require a skill check to harvest, or maybe we'll just pick it up. It looks like we just pick it up. So unlike the fangberries, edible moss doesn't require a law nature check to grab. So let's take that, and let's head back down. Oh well, we might as well go via this loot and the herbs, and then we'll head back to the other side of the map here and exit. So where's that moss? Or where's that loot? Oh wow, okay. So, I don't think there's really any way we would have just happened to spot that lying on the ground there. Unless you happen to flail your mouse cursor across it while you're moving your party down this road, there's no way I think you're going to visually spot that. You could see it with tab, or you could see it automatically marked on your mini-map, but really those are the only ways, kind of metagaming ways you would have spotted this. And it seems like it's something fairly important. It's another fragment of that necklace that we found another one of these of in that tomb with Tartuccio. So, yeah, okay, we'll grab it, but I'm glad we're kind of metagaming here by looking at conveniently marked icons on our map. Not super sure about that design decision. Alright, herbs. Let's grab some herbs. Indeed, herbs for cooking. And let's head to the exit from this area. I wonder if we'd have hit this exit without picking up that scorched fragment of map, necklace, whether when we left it would have given us an option to automatically collect it, like it's probably going to do with the dreck that we've left behind here when we leave this area. No, yeah, okay, so that's the bandit loot that we didn't want. I wonder would that necklace fragment have turned up here had we not collected it while actually on the map, and then we could have grabbed it and not missed it. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm a fan of that way of placing items in the world. Okay, a little bit of flavour text about Harem, our gloomy dwarf cleric of Grotus. Alright, so here we are. We've got Tusk Gutter's lair marked on our map. We have the abandoned hut referred to in those orders to Kressle from the mysterious A. That's now marked on our map. So we definitely want to explore that at some point. What we might do before that, though, is head back to Oleg's to return Svetlana's ring to her and rest up, and then we'll head out from Oleg's to the west toward that hut as our next little bit of exploring.
Resting would be nice, don't you think?
Alright, so we get a little automatic notification here when we've become fatigued due to travelling for too long. We can choose to rest, or we can push on to Oleg's. It looks like we're not that far from Oleg's, where we can rest in peace without sort of a risk of attack while we're camping. The fatigued penalty is not sort of great to have, but it's not crippling. So let's not rest. Let's press on even though we're tired. And hope we don't run into anything before we get back to Oleg's. But it seems like immediately upon making that decision we've hit a random encounter, and we've now got to try to avoid them or fight them. So we successfully spotted them and evaded them. Excellent. So let's just sneak past and continue on to Oleg's. And there we go. So, even though we were tired, we pressed on and we managed to cunningly evade a random encounter on the road on the way back to Oleg's, where we've now arrived and we can rest in peace. Well, rest peacefully, not rest in peace. That's not what I meant.
A rest is in order.
A rest is indeed in order, and we're in just the spot to take one. So, let's head up to the inn. Let's go inside and talk to Svetlana. Oh, I wonder if our cleric friend Jod has... Yes, he has. So Jod has made it back to Oleg's trading post, and he's now here.
How may I serve you?
Where we can talk to him, ask his help, ask about him and his god and the Temple of the Elk, which he wants us to find. Excellent. So we can see what services he offers. Why not just see what's going? So he'll sell us divine spell scrolls. He'll cast spells from scrolls that we have for us if we can't use them. So that's a nice little feature. And yeah, good to know. We won't inquire any further for now, but good to know that if we have scrolls that we couldn't otherwise use, Jod can do it for us, as well as just casting spells and selling us stuff himself. Alright, let's save here. Let's talk to Svetlana.
Rest is in order.
And return her ring, and tell her that not only will we get the ring back, we managed not to hurt Kressle in the process, which was what Svetlana wanted. Svetlana sighs bitterly. I suppose I should tell you the truth about her. Kressle wasn't her real name. Her real name was Irena before all this. She was the daughter of my mother. That would make her your sister, right? And her second husband, my half-sister. I can't help but feel like everything that happened to her was my fault. She always had a wildness to her. She'd wander the streets, hanging out with a bad crowd. Until the day she passed, Mother complained about Irena constantly. Back then, it was just cruel games and strange escapades. She never really hurt anyone back in Restov. Her father didn't live much longer than our mother, so I decided to try to help Irena. I brought her here to the Stolen Lands, though Oleg was against it. And once here, she immediately fell under the Stag Lord's influence. She never even needed to meet him. The stories and rumours from local hunters and bandits were enough to win her over. She would tell us how he was a real leader, unlike Restov's softies. Eventually, she ran away, only to return under a new name with a pack of thugs to collect taxes from us. What's worse, she participated in the torture and execution of prisoners alongside the Stag Lord's minions. I don't know if there's any way to set her back on the right path, but I'm grateful for your kindness. Perhaps there's still hope. For the sake of my mother's memory, I'd like to believe that. Alright, so wonderful. We might have helped Kressle / Irena, maybe one step down the path to redemption with our talk at the bandit camp. Who knows? I'm sure we'll encounter her again, and hopefully we can keep trying to turn her off the evil path that she's taken, and maybe effect some kind of reconciliation between Svetlana and her lost half-sister. That would be kind of cool if we can manage that. Alright, so that means we've finished that little quest to return Svetlana's wedding ring to her, got a minor little chunk of experience and some camping supplies, which will come in handy. And now we can rest. Yep, there we go. So that's our little notification that the Svetlana's ring quest has been completed. Let's take a rest to remove that fatigue from our long journey back from Thorn Ford. So that's done.
This is
our
my
characters are fatigued. Excellent.
It is done.
Head back outside. Let's talk to Oleg to sell off some of our loot. And what have we got to sell? An earring. We won't sell those, we'll hang on to those. An earring, a gem. We're going to hang on to that. That looks like it for now, so let's just sell those couple of minor trinkets. We're going to hang on to all our scrolls and potions and ingredients and such. I'm sure we'll find a use for those sooner or later. So we've sold off our minor trinkets for a little bit of gold. What we can do now is
We should move.
jump into our inventory, equip Harem's crossbow for him so that he's got it to hand next time we need ranged attacks from him, unlike the last time. And quickly sort that out so I can see if I'm missing anything. Oh, for some reason he can't wear that.
Can't use it.
Interesting. I wonder if only we can wear... Yeah, only we, that being our player character, can wear Tartuccio's present. No one else can wear that ring. So it is more than just a plain ring of protection +1, at least in one respect. It's only going to function for us. Makes me a little bit gladder that I took it off. Alright, so with our party rested, our loot sold, Svetlana's wedding ring returned, I think I will call it a day or a session here and come back next time to continue exploring, head to that abandoned hut perhaps, and see if we can see what about it was so in need of burning, according to Kressle's higher up in the Stag Lord's bandit organisation. That's next time. See you then.